Welcome to Dud and Dan. I'm Dan.
And I'm Trey.
Yes, you are.
Different.
You're different. Dudley.
Yeah.
Dudley. You've gotten older.
I have.
And
that was me on the drums, by the way.
And it is you on all of it, actually, if you remember correctly,
That's me
because
on the
I
multi-track.
couldn't play my own song. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's playing tracking with stuff. It's a skill, and if you haven't done it, then it's hard to do.
I have done it. I'm just not good at it.
Oh, okay.
I've done it with myself.
Yeah.
And sometimes playing with yourself is easier than playing with others.
That's what I always
Welcome to the show, Trey. This is your second time co-hosting.
Second time co-hosting, but I've been on the show.
You've been on the show
I guess that's my fifth appearance.
Yeah, you've been on a few times.
Actually.
Some of it never made to air.
Oh.
We've recorded things with you that never got put up.
That explains some things. Right.
Why did I never see these things?
Yeah.
But it's cool. No worries. It's not you. It's us. We're just shitty at our jobs.
Okay. Well, this is a labor of love.
Yeah. I mean, it was about a year ago you were on. Because last time you came on with me was because Dudley was having a baby.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm on again because Dudley is getting married.
Dudley is getting married.
Yeah.
Dudley, as of yesterday, he is married.
Yeah.
Someone has decided to keep him.
He's in Vegas.
He's in Vegas, of all places. He went to Vegas to get married.
The Monte Carlo of the U.S.
Yeah, is that what that is?
Yes. Monte Carlo's in France, right?
I have no idea.
It's on the Riviera, right?
Yeah, you're asking the wrong guy. I don't know.
Monaco is its own country.
Monaco is its own country. I know that much. I've played the game.
Also on the Riviera.
Is it really? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Do they name everything on the Riviera start with an M and says Mon?
I don't know, man. I'm showing my ignorance here.
Yeah, geographical ignorance on the show. This show is known for many things. Geography is not one of them.
All of my knowledge of that region of the world comes from James Bond movies, and you know how accurate they are.
Oh, yeah, so accurate.
Yeah.
Very accurate. They're just like the most accurate films I hear. Where's Ricky when we need it? He could tell us all about
Ricky's
the accuracy.
Ricky's going to love this episode.
Yeah.
I've got a special thing in store for him. He's gonna
just go out for Ricky. All right, cool.
But we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
That'll make sure that he listens to the whole thing.
Okay, let me mark off talk about Dudley getting married, and now we don't have to talk about him anymore.
Okay.
And we just call it done. We just forget he exists.
Yeah.
I know his name's on the show, but that we don't feel compelled.
All right.
And I would prefer if you didn't talk about him.
Okay. I can do that.
Okay, cool.
Easily. You have no idea how easy it is.
I mean, you have to understand.
It's not like he's Voldemort.
If we say his name 3 times, he's like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
He just appears. He'll just suddenly be here, and he'll be like, I was just in Vegas. Why am I here? Yeah.
What's your favorite movie set in Las Vegas?
My favorite movie set in Las Vegas? Casino? I'm trying to think how many movies I know that are set in Las Vegas.
A ton of them are. Right?
Yeah, a ton of them are.
All the Ocean's 11.
Yeah, the Ocean's 11. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Good. A lot of big cast going on there.
People don't understand it when I say this, but I really love Chevy Chase's Vegas Vacation.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's some fun bits in there.
It's
a damn fine movie.
Thank you. We're one of the few people in the world who.
I was mostly making a reference to the damn scene.
Yeah. Also, I got it. Also takes that stance, but I think it's a very cleverly written and underrated film, and I think it deserves just as much love as Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, which is the one everyone always talks about. So. Yeah. I haven't seen either of them in quite some time, so I don't know. I don't remember. All I remember is the Hoover Dam scene. That's really the only thing I remember.
I really like the weird casino scene.
Yeah,
where they're like, he's like, well, we've got a little money and we can go to this weird casino. And he's like, this guy, I got to break even. I got to play these games. He's like, well, these games might not be what you're used to.
Yeah,
and it's rock paper scissors and guess which hand and pick a number between 1 and 10.
Yeah,
and just that had to be like sitting in the screenwriter's brain for years and years and years and years and years. And he's been waiting to find the right movie to put that in.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. We normally talk about games on this show.
Yeah, right. Okay, we'll get there.
They're usually. Sometimes we don't. But
do you want to talk about a game, or do you want me to talk about a game?
I have a couple that I play.
I've got some.
I would definitely like to. I'll briefly mention something I talked about last week that I'm still playing. Is the new Paper Mario. Did you ever play any of the Paper Mario?
I did play I played the one on. Well, I played Thousand Year Door.
Yeah. And that's the one. That's the popular one.
Because I had a GameCube.
Yeah.
And Cater wants to get this one, but he's got to save his allowance money.
Yeah. He's got to earn it
because he just got Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
It would be a lot. And I told him he can't get because I'm dad. I told him he's not allowed to buy any new games until he beats Animal Crossing.
Does he know that there's no end?
Oh, he knows.
Oh, okay.
He gave me the same look.
He's just like.
Yeah, he's like.
So
you
like,
can't beat Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
it's not the kind of game that you beat.
Dad, this is bullshit. And you were like, son, language.
Yeah. No, we had it. So Cater and I played it together. So we played it when he was little, and he loved everything Mario.
Yeah.
But he was not to the level that he could read everything yet.
Oh yeah.
So he could read
Yeah.
some things, but it was just too much text because there's no voice acting.
Yeah, exactly. It's just.
And so we played it together.
Yeah.
He made a lot of the calls and what we should do and where to go, but
You were the controller.
Did the controller, and I also had to read the whole thing like it was a storybook.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of reading.
Paper Mario bedtime stories.
Yeah, exactly. So we did a lot of that, and we ended up getting to the final fight, final boss fight, but we got so frustrated with all the random encounters and stuff like that, we started skipping a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we ended up at the final boss fight severely underleveled.
Oh,
which is something that you can do.
Yeah.
And so
I've done that in other RPGs where I was just trying to avoid
all
fights.
Of our items and just to get through the castle to the final castle to the final boss.
Yeah.
And when we got there, we just couldn't
fight it.
Yeah. So it was. And we tried over and over and over and over. And to go back and just to get out of where we were, where our save point was also killing us. So we couldn't go back.
So you were stuck in a... I did the same thing with, I think it was Final Fantasy X. Mm-hmm. There was a part where you're on an airship going somewhere and you have to fight this dragon thing, I think. My memory's terrible, so who knows? It may not be any of those things. But basically you're stuck in this area and you have to fight this boss fight. So you can't go back. You can't go to other area. And so I did this. I had done something similar. I was kind of getting in a hurry, wanted to progress in the story, so I was kind of skipping fights and just to get through it. And then I got to this point where I had to fight this boss, and I couldn't beat it. But I couldn't go anywhere else to really grind. I had maybe a small area where I could go and fight something to try to help me level up, but I just was underleveled and not in an area where I could spend time and resources to get myself up powerful enough. So I don't think I ever got past that point. Yeah. I think I just stopped there and never went back to play that game. But the new one's great. I don't know if you watched the trailer for it, but it's called the Origami King.
Yeah,
it's this whole thing where they're folding, increasing people into monsters. So you have origami versions of all the Goombas and the Koopas and all that stuff that you're fighting, and it's pretty fantastic. I'm really liking it. I told Dudley last week that because it's kind of geared toward a younger audience. I get tired of the hand-holding tutorials, and because we grew up in a time where video games didn't tell you anything. You just started playing and figured it out. And then
they came with a manual. They
came with a book or something. And I was just I don't need you to explain to me how to do this fight 3 times. I can just do it. But anyway, it's really fantastic. I did the first big boss fight because the way the combat is done. Trey. Settle down.
Twitched.
The way the combat is in this one, you do stuff where you fight things in the overworld, like there's giant paper mache Goombas that you go around whacking with a hammer, which is a lot of fun. But then you go into combats like in an RPG normally you are, and it has this weird system of you're in the middle and there's these rings that go out, and then
I've seen those.
Yeah, and they get into little positions. So the first round is just turning the ring to get the bad guys in an ideal position so you can try to take them out. Well, the boss fight flips it. and that you're standing outside the ring and the boss is in the middle, and you have arrows that are on the ring that you're trying to position, and there are items you can pick up, and you have to get attack actions to position yourself where you want to attack and then hit them. And it's really interesting. I kind of liked it because it's more of a puzzle instead of just picking which attacks you want to hit. So I fought a giant turtle.
Okay. That's a standard Mario thing.
Yeah. Well, are there turtles in Mario games? Yeah, there's a few. There's a few.
Did it have a spiky shell?
No, it didn't.
Oh,
it wasn't
then you
Bowser.
can bounce on it.
Yeah, no, not really. It's a hard shell. It was this giant, turtle elemental. They had a different name for it, but that's basically what it is. There's this turtle god being worshipped by a Koopa Troopas. That. It's actually this temple that these Koopas are it's our, we worship him or whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. But anyway, giant origami turtle, and you have to attack each of his limbs till he goes into the shell, and then you use this thing where you have giant origami arms to pick them up and flip them over, and then you can bash them, and it's crazy. It was really cool. So I beat that and kind of learned how the boss fights work, and so I'm progressing through the game. I'm really liking it. Nice. And it's just fun. I just it's kind of lighthearted and silly. And and
I always found the humor in Thousand Year Door was pretty spot on.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I talked about it last week that the trees in this game were using y'all. So whoever localized it decided the trees use y'all.
Okay.
And I was like, all right. One of them did it, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then they all kept doing it, and I'm like, okay. Cool. There's tons of little jokes, and it's just kind of whimsical and fun. All right. What have you been playing?
I've been playing the mess out of City Skylines.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. On console. I own it.
Yeah.
I own it in my... I bought it years and years ago when it first came out because I love a good SimCity-style city builder that's not the new SimCity that everyone hates.
Yeah.
But I really miss that. So I saved up my paper route money back in the 90s and bought SimCity 2000.
Yeah, I remember. I played a lot of SimCity 2000 back in the day.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because it was it was blocky and angular, and there wasn't a lot of different models that you could choose, but compared to the original SimCity, you had roads that could go diagonally, right?
Yeah.
And you had to worry about underwater piping, and the traffic models were just so much better. Anyway, so I played a ton of that, and I really wanted to give City Skylines a chance because it felt like the spiritual successor to that when Maxis had taken this weird left turn off into nowhere. Off into always network-connected DRM territory.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I bought it and tried to run it on my laptop, and it just made my laptop cry. And I was getting one frame per 30 seconds. And I was like, well, that was a fine purchase. So it's been sitting in my Steam account for years.
Yeah.
And then the other month, I guess a month ago, PS4 put it up as part of the PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, the free game for the month.
So I downloaded it. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to get another. I wonder how bad the console version is.
Yeah.
And the answer is, if you play the vanilla version of the PC game with no mods, it's very, very, very close to the vanilla game.
Yeah.
Now, you can't unlock as much territory.
Yeah.
Right? You've only got a 3x3 grid. Whereas on PC unmodded, you can go 5x5.
Okay.
So you only get 9 squares, whereas on PC you get 25. And if you mod on PC, you can get 81, 9x9. So it's smaller, but all the mechanics work the same. All the base models are there. All the control, and so super exciting to the point that I started buying all the extra DLC for this game for the free game. And so
you got a free game, and then you buy all the. I mean, that's what they're banking off of.
It was, and it was good because everything was on sale. So I got everything for $30.
Nice.
And I have been having a lot of fun with that, and it's much more of a traffic simulator than it is anything else I've discovered.
Yeah.
It's way more about figuring out where to put the industrial so the trucks don't interfere with every other piece of traffic.
Yeah. Okay. You got to put those on the edge of town.
And anything that has not just on the edge, not just outside of town, but like you got to make sure that it's whatever exit is coming off from your main highway, because for those that don't know, the way I just looked at the microphone as if I'm looking at you.
Yeah, you're looking through the microphone at the audience. That's the way it works.
So you get a tile, and you have nothing on it except there is a highway with an exit that is unfinished. And
like the way most towns start. Well, in the old days, it was like it was a railroad, but basically the same thing.
Yeah.
The highway passed you, the town died.
Right. So if you zone something and a car can get to it from the highway, people will move in there. Mm-hmm. Basically.
Okay.
So if you gotta maintain your connection to the main highway.
Okay.
But the thing is, if you make a truck make a left-hand turn to get to its industrial section, because as soon as you put industrial in, imports and exports are going to start going like crazy.
Yeah.
If you make a truck make a left-hand turn across
traffic,
it's going to
block all the other
it will just block everything. So you got to make sure that
no left turns.
You've got you can do right-hand exits that go over on overpasses, or under with tunnels. But you definitely want to make
you don't want to cross traffic,
right? You don't want to get into a situation where that sort of thing's happening. And Anyway, I do wish that there were better choices for cul-de-sac.
Okay, yeah.
Because you can have a cul-de-sac on modded PC, obviously. People have made it.
Yeah.
And they've made so many more different types of roads, like roads with center turning lanes don't exist in the base game.
Yeah. It's pretty necessary.
Yeah, you can have a 4-lane, 2-way road, but it's got a median in the middle.
It's got a median.
And they can only turn left at an intersection.
You don't get like a 2-lane with a center.
So like North Street doesn't exist.
Yeah, it does not exist.
So that's okay. So, but within playing within the game, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And messing with. So I've been playing it for like 2 months now, and I've finally gotten to the point where when I play it, I'm like actually not just like slapping stuff down, putting out fires.
Yeah, you're trying to plan.
I'm actually like
doing some city planning.
It would look nice if we put a little neighborhood over here, and then this would access this, and that could access that. And,
okay.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun, and it's no longer free on PlayStation Plus, but I think it's totally worth the purchase price.
I think when it came with, I might have had PlayStation Plus at the time. I think mine is expired again. I don't know. I didn't get it. I keep buying it and then not getting a lot of use out of it, and then so I didn't grab it, but I think Dudley owns it, so I have access to a Steam account to just play it whenever I want. Yeah. But I haven't touched it. I've thought about it. I was like, every once in a while I get that itch to go into city planning, and I was like, I want to do this, and then I just don't get around to it.
It's fun. It's a weirdly relaxing, yet also immense amount of pressure at the same time.
Yeah.
And the secret is to just play it extremely slowly.
Yeah.
And
just take your time.
It's like a thing where you check in and you're like, I'll do a little bit of this today, and you're not going to unlock the final population level because all the stuff that you can do, unless you turn on unlimited money cheats when you start, but all of the stuff that you can do unlocks at different population levels. Yeah. So just you're not going to make it in one play session.
Yeah.
And you're not going to make it in 2 play sessions. And if you do make it in like 3 play sessions, you've imbalanced the whole organism in some weird way. And then as soon as you get to that population, you're going to have like this crazy death wave where people just start dying. So the way it simulates each individual member of the population, right? It's not. I watched a dev talk on this, and they're actually simulating each individual person.
Yeah.
So if you've got a population of 100,000, they're simulating each one of those people's paths from their home bikes to their work, to entertainment.
Yeah. How they're moving about their lives. Okay. That's pretty interesting.
It is very interesting. Now the assets are very limited. There's only there's less than maybe 10 actual people models. There's like an old guy with a cane. There's like a little girl with a teddy bear.
But
Yeah.
Yeah. You see that little girl with a teddy bear 100 times.
Yeah. It's the same with, the traffic. And so if they get in a car, there's only so many cars. But those cars are all actually going somewhere for a reason.
Yes, exactly. That's cool.
So when you zone in, if you zone in a whole bunch of stuff all at once, everybody shows up, and they show up at the same starting age. And then when they get to their death age, they all just die.
Yeah. Do they have the same death age? Or is it it somehow, generates the random
It's weirdly arbitrary.
Yeah.
Like if you put enough hospitals in, enough elder care in, it will keep people healthy for long enough and make them reach the average death age way more than they would. So if you've been playing it right, all of a sudden, if you've been expanding too fast, all of a sudden everyone in your city will die.
It's like a plague.
Because you brought them all in at the same time.
We shouldn't have brought all these people in at the same age. Our city died overnight because we started with a bunch of 20-year-olds.
They have offspring, and the offspring grow up and they become citizens and all that. But
still, huge parts of your population.
But really, when you've got demand, you've got your demand bars: residential, commercial, industrial, just like SimCity. When your demand is way up, and then you just zone a whole bunch of residential to fill it, all of those people come in, and then the game considers them the same age.
Yeah, but then they all start dying off. All of a sudden, all the houses go up on sale.
60 years later, it's just a sea of little skull and crossbones.
Oh no! The funeral business does great during these time periods.
Yeah, well, you got to put in cemeteries. You got to put in cemeteries or crematoriums.
Yeah.
And when you put in cemeteries, you got to put them where you got to think ahead. Because
the population over here is getting old.
You can move most things. In the game.
You can't move
with no trouble. You just click it, move it.
People don't like it when you move cemeteries.
You have to empty the cemeteries. So
just dump them out, like the cat litter box. You just toss it out.
Okay, so you've got a cemetery, and you can have another cemetery, or you can have a crematorium. And you select the cemetery you want to move, and you say empty, and then you'll see little hearses that start spawning from the cemetery and going to either the crematorium or another cemetery, and eventually it will pop up a little icon that says it's empty.
This happens in real life.
And then you can delete it.
Yeah, the people cities have moved cemeteries, or in some cases, just built on top of them. They just,
Well, it won't let you build on top. You can't just
you can't do that. Well, they don't bulldoze it. I've seen read up places where the basement of buildings is a cemetery. I was just saw an article about this the other day. I was like, that's so weird.
It's very strange.
All right. Well, that's fascinating.
City Skylines. I love it.
Yeah. I've been playing 2 games. Eden and I were playing. She bought some new games for her Switch. And they're very similar in play style, but they're 2 different things. One's called Moving Out. I don't know if you've seen it's on the Switch. These are both on Switch. And it's basically you play a moving company, and it's just you remember, Gang Beast, where it's a little kind of you don't, you're kind of drunk.
It's the delivery, the totally awesome delivery company, is that, or something like that?
No, it's that
also has the Gang Beast.
It's kind of similar thing, but style and it's kind of like that. And you don't you're moving somewhere. You kind of feel like you kind of don't have full control. You kind of wobble around. Same with grabbing things. And it's basically you're a moving company, and you go into these people's house, and you're just grabbing certain things and tossing it in a moving truck, and you're smashing through windows, knocking doors off hinges just to throw them in. And you're on a time crunch, but also, there are certain objects that are heavier that you need 2 people on the ends. Well, you end up grabbing at the same corners or the same side, and you're just struggling with each other, and you're just tossing stuff out. And we had a lot of fun doing that because we're just kind of frantically throwing stuff in and learning. Oh, we need to put the big things in first because.
And this is couch co-op then?
Couch co-op. So yeah. This just her and I sitting on the couch playing together on the same system, and. And we're just frantically trying to get everything out as quickly as possible. But there's also animals running around. One level had a sheep just walking around who gets in your way and it's just being a jerk. And you're you have to pick them up and toss them away so you can go and get other stuff. And you're jerking anything electrical was plugged in, so you had to like pull it off the wall and jerk the cable out. And
that's fun.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. There's a whole Frogger level where it's just you have stuff on this curb side on one side, and there's a street, and then a river with logs going across it, and you have to get across to the truck, which you parked on the other side for some reason. And we had a blast doing that because, you know, you got two ends of the couch, and you're going across the river. One of you steps off the log, so you're hanging off in the river, and there's no way for you to get yourself back up. So you end up falling in the river. And then you respawn trying to run back and get there before the log hits the bridge at the end of the river. So we had a blast. And the one level, I was like, I'm going to scream. There's a farm. We go to a farmhouse, and we're loading up all the livestock who don't want to stay still. And there's just chickens and sheep and pigs and a cow running around like crazy, and you're like chasing them, and there are rakes, so you can do like the Three Stooges step on a rake and smack you in the face thing, which stuns you. And
I like a good rake.
Yeah, and and you can't move those, but you have to work around them. And it took us 3 tries to get those animals, and we kind of figured out a trick of we had to load up 2 troughs. So we put the trough at the front of the truck, and we toss everything over the trough, and they can't quite run out. Like the time before that, we did it with hay bales, and we set it up. But then I was the idiot who ran into the hay bale and went sliding down the ramp, and then they all just single filed ran out, like right at the last 10 seconds. We literally needed 1 chicken in the truck, and I let them all out, and I was like, oh my god! But it's a ton of fun. It's a lot of fun. You can play 4 people. Which I can't imagine. Like, it's one of the things, like, 4 people are all running into each other, trying to grab a hold of furniture and throw it through stuff. And, like, to get, like, the 3 stars or whatever, bronze, I forget where gold standard is, like, I don't know how anyone does it that quickly. But we were actually watching a speedrun video just to see how are they doing. And, honestly, it's not organized in any way. It's just frantic.
It's just luck
grabbing
at some
stuff
point.
and chunking it out. And, like, the few times we did do really well, like, got silver grade, it was just like, we were just smashing and throwing everything out the window and then loading it into the truck. And it's frantic, it's fun, and it's just one of those games that would be great for, like, sitting on a couch and shouting at each other and, like, no, grab the other end, no, grab the other end.
I'll have to look at that then.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then we play Tools Up, which is kind of similar style-wise, but it's your contractors remodeling a house. And it's, it sets up different scenarios, but basically it's like, okay, we go in, you open the blueprints, and it's like, what are we doing? It's like, we got to put carpet in this room, paint this room, mud and tile this room. All right, let's go. And we start doing it. Well, we started off, we didn't realize we could play the campaign co-op. We thought, there was one that was like Party or something like that, so we were going to play that one. We thought, that's the co-op one. And we did the first level, which was easy, and then it jumps to like World 1, level 5 type thing. And we couldn't do it in the time frame. Like, we kept getting almost done, and it was like 4 minutes, 45 seconds, and then we'd run out of time. Or, because after you finish remodeling everything, you have to tidy up and get everything out of the house. Otherwise, if you don't, before the time runs out, you still lose. Yeah. So we'd have everything out, and I left the blueprint laying on the floor, and I lost. And we were getting so frustrated, and Eden and I had a bit of our first video game fight where we were like, she was kind of shouting. The problem is, my ears are all screwed up right now.
Yep.
I have a lot of allergies problems going on, and I can't hear. And especially when my head tilts down or whatever, I get fluid in my ears, I can't hear. So I hear her hollering stuff, I can't understand it. But we're so on such a time crunch, I'm focusing on what I'm doing that I can't like stop and look and say, what are you talking about? And she's asked me to do something. She's getting angry at me. I'm getting angry because so we were like snipping at each other. And then we got so frustrated, like, how do people do this? And like really quickly.
Was there stuff that you had to unlock in the campaign?
There was stuff we didn't learn about because we played. After we stopped, we finally did it in the 4 minutes, 45 seconds. Like, we did it, we finally were like, okay, I finally was at the point, it was midnight, I was tired, I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. And she was like, no, we're getting good, we can do this. And we managed to do it with a minute under the clock. We were like, nailed it perfectly, finally, after probably a dozen tries trying to do it. And they were like, okay. I was like, and she was like, wait a second, I said I don't want to play anymore. I'm a little frustrated. You just play the campaign, and I'll hang out with you and watch. So she's already like, oh, we can play multiplayer in the campaign. So I was like, okay, I'll play with you. So we started playing it, and then we realized the bucket that we use for mudding. I don't know if you know this about buckets. You can use them for multiple things.
Oh yeah.
So you have to like strip off the old carpet and the old wall.
You can put it in a bucket.
And we were doing. You get a whole load off one tile off the floor, off the wall, and you have to carry it all the way outside to dump it out before you can pick up something else. Or you can dump it in the bucket and sit there and fill up the bucket and then go dump it out.
Nice.
If we'd known that, it makes that level so much easier.
Mm-hmm. You guys did it the hard way.
The bucket sits in the room that it needs to start in because that's where all these construction needs to happen. And we were like, oh my... And we were laughing at ourselves because we were getting so frustrated. And we did this the hard way. And we're getting a little snippy at each other for no reason. Mm-hmm. And then we played through like the first 14 levels of... It's usually fun. It is like, and it's weird because I did contract work with my uncle, and so I was like, yeah, this is exactly, it's cartoony, but this is exactly how we do it. One of us is working on doing this, but we can't work on doing the tile of the front hallway because we need to be going back and forth working in the background, so we got to work outward and doing all this shit and planning and running into each other, like, oh, no, we won't set the bucket here, and I knocked the paint bucket over, so now there's paint on the floor, and you slip in it every time, so you got to clean up the paint and move it out of the way, so we're coordinating and running around. It's tons of fun. It was a game I thought, I was like, I would not have grabbed, but she grabbed it, and I'm like, this is really fun. After we got past the getting frustrated. Yeah. But I really like it. We're talking about playing some more today, because I just like, I can't get enough of this. It's like fun. And you can play 4 players sitting on the couch together, and again, I don't know how you play with 4 players without constantly running into each other and like getting. I guess you work in pairs and pick rooms.
Does it split screen?
No, it's all one screen, and so it kind of it mostly stays. Yeah, whoever picks up the blueprint can rotate the camera so you can see walls, and then also like you don't start with all the supplies on some levels. Like a delivery person shows up the door, like I got this paint, and you're like, oh, someone's got to run and get the paint from him. If you don't get him, he walks off and come. You have to wait a couple of seconds, he'll come back. So you start with some things, and we're waiting on the carpet to show up, and then we'll get the carpet in, and then it gets more complicated and weirder levels. You start getting into snow levels that have ice floors in one room for some reason. So everything's slippery.
Yeah, somebody's pipe burst.
Yeah, and then there's one where, and you can just chunk stuff. Like we learned pretty early on. It's like, oh, when I'm done with this carpet, throw it over the wall into the front yard. Who cares? We're done with it. But you can't do that with paint or the paste you use to put wallpaper up, because then it makes a spill and you have to clean that up later. Or you run into it and you slip. And or if you knock over the bucket full of all the stuff you're tearing up, it makes a pile of rubble that then you trip over. And so we kept getting out of sync where I go to dump something in the bucket, she picks up the bucket preemptively to go dump it out, and I dump stuff on the floor, and I'm just like... So... It's a lot of fun, but it's like this silly game about doing contract work, and then like I said, there's a weird environment where one of them is raining, so you get puddles you have to clean up, and there's it just gets more and more complex. Doing wallpaper is more complicated. You have to put the wallpaper glue up, but you only have a couple of seconds before you have to put the wallpaper up, otherwise the glue dries, and so you start working in tandem, and it's a weird game I probably never would have grabbed before, but I really like it. I really enjoy it. So if you want to feel like you're doing contract work and have fun yelling at your friends for, why did you leave this bucket here? I need this out of my way.
Go slip in some paint.
Yeah, slip in some paint. There's one house we did where it had tons of supplies. Like all the supplies of the other room that were already finished were still there. So we had to go through, do the walls that needed to be done, the floors that needed to be done, but find the right stuff to go with it and get rid of all the crap that's in the way that's just in the room. They just set up scenarios like this for you to be like, okay. One of them, we didn't have blueprints. The blueprint was torn up in the trash. And we're like, we have no idea what's supposed to go where. And we thought we did, but then we did it backwards. And so we didn't finish the level because we put the wallpaper for one room on this room and not that one. And we had it we had them reversed.
Yeah.
So we had to go back and redo it and fix the right one. But it's just a weird, fun little game. I liked it a lot. What else did you play? Do you play anything else?
Yeah,
are you only Skylines the only thing for you?
Well, I mean that's the video game that I've been playing.
Oh, okay.
And Cater's obviously been playing Animal Crossing, so I've been checking out over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And I played a little bit so we could little screen it a couple times. But I ran a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign for a bunch of kids who'd never played it before.
Nice. Oh, I bet that was an experience.
Yeah, it was. It was interesting.
Yeah, because they're going to bring in all kinds of weird stuff that, because they don't know how it works. They don't have these preconceived things. That you always bring, new players always bring interesting mechanics.
Yeah, it was. And to be fair, not most of the kids had not played it before. Some
had some experience, but
1.5 kind of. Anyway, so my son Cater, he's 11. He turned 11 in June, but we did not have a birthday party because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
So since June, we have sort of widened out our social pod a little bit with other families that have kids that we also feel like are being cautious.
Yes.
And not.
Yeah. It's so
crazy.
weird. You have to evaluate who you're going to spend time with.
Now,
what have you been doing?
Is this
who
person
have you
wearing
seen?
a mask?
Have you been wearing masks? Does this person take masks seriously?
Yeah.
And you're like, nope, I'm not going to be around this person. Or okay, we can see this person.
Anyway, as it turns out, and I feel so bad because there are two kids that he's very good friends with. And one of them's mom works in the hospital, and the other one's dad is an EMT. And we're like, sorry guys, it's just going to be online.
Yeah.
So they've been able to play Minecraft and
interact.
They get to talk to each other.
Yeah.
They're constantly
just
on calls playing video games, but not in person. I feel so bad for those kids, but anyway, but there's some other families. One of them lives way out rural, isolated anyway. The other one here's locally, and everyone is taking the pandemic seriously.
Yeah,
and so. We said, well, hey, if you guys are cool with it, we would like to have a birthday party get-together for Cater. It's a month late, but he didn't get to have one. We have to do it now. But just kids. We're not going to invite grown-ups and family and stuff like that. So we had the kids come over, and I asked Cater what he wanted the theme to be for his party, because I always ask. And last year it was Mario, and so I made a cake, and we painted it green. Not painted. Dyed it green. And put
made it edible.
Yeah, put little Mario figures on it.
I mean, a little lead never hurt anybody.
And the year before that, it was Skylanders, so I made a cake that looked like the Skylander portal, and we put his Skylander.
Has it been that long since you did the Minecraft one? I remember the Minecraft one.
The Minecraft one was...
Was that like 3 years ago?
2017, I think.
Yeah.
Time so I made a Minecraft cake.
Yeah, I remember the Minecraft themed one.
It was a square cake. I'd never done that before.
Yeah.
Square cake corners are hard. Anyway. So we said, what do you want your theme to be? And he said, Dungeons & Dragons. And I'm like, all right, what can I make? So I made a cake that looked like a 20-cider if it had been cut in half and put flat
I saw pictures of it,
And it had rolled in 11 because
he's
11.
Yeah, because he's 11.
And then we went and we bought a bunch of plastic minis from the D&D Nalzer's Unpainted Miniatures line.
Yeah.
And we've got the pre-gen. So I bought the D&D starter kit. Yeah. Which doesn't have a full manual. Doesn't have anything in the manual about character generation.
Yeah, it has pre-made characters, right?
It has pre-made characters.
We played it when 5th edition first came out. We got a set just to kind of get a sample of it.
Yeah.
See how
so I have never played a version of D&D that wasn't... Well, I have never run a version of D&D that wasn't first edition.
You're dating yourself, Trey.
A little bit.
Just a bit.
A little bit.
I've never played first edition. I think we did we bought one of those kits just to try out first edition just to see what it was like, and I was confused by it. But
it's confusing.
Yeah. I mean, I played a touch of second, but mostly third edition and on.
My favorite thing about it is that it doesn't tell you the dice names.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't say, roll a d20.
Yeah.
Or it says roll a... It lists the percentage that you need to roll, and then you have to do the mental math to know which dice. So, if you look up goblin hit points or whatever, and it's roll 3 to 12. No, wait, it would be goblins can have 4 to 12 hit points, so you know that you need to roll 3 4-siders.
Sure.
Or I mean, you need you need to roll.
Yeah, it tells you the range, and then you.
It tells you the range, and then you roll it. So if you know that your sword can do 2 to 20 damage, then you roll 2 10-siders.
That's so weird.
Yeah, that's first edition for you. So that's what I.
Y'all figure it out.
Yeah, so the whole anyway, by the time that other versions of D&D, because I was around for second edition, I was around for. In fact, most of my friends were playing second edition, but by the time second edition had rolled around, I was into the cyberpunk / fantasy Shadowrun.
Yeah.
Got really into that.
Yeah.
And then as an adult in college, we started playing a lot of the White Wolf system, which is Vampire the Masquerade and Mage and those other things. Anyway, so that's why. So I've been playing tabletop games a very long time.
Just not
and
third
recently,
edition.
Just not D&D.
Not D&D,
So,
it's funny because when we have conversation, it's funny how we have different backgrounds. Like we have the Pokemon conversation where I was like, oh, Pokemon, blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, and you know more now because you have a kid who's into it, as opposed to growing up playing it like I did because, you're so old.
Decrepit.
You're not that much old. You're just like half a decade on me. It makes a difference, though. And then, so we grew up playing, third edition and, D&D and a lot of that. And we would venture out into other role-play systems, but mostly primary, third edition and third 3.5. And then we went into fourth and fifth. And so when you're like, oh, yeah, I played all these things. And stuff I've heard about, and some of it I played a little bit of the Vampire Masquerade, but not a lot. But... Yeah,
I will say, I like 5th edition's combat rules.
Yeah.
They are streamlined in a good way.
Yeah, they are. They kind of simplify a lot of things.
And the test is getting a bunch of 10-year-olds around the table.
Yeah, so what's that like, trying to get 10-year-olds wrangled to pay attention?
It's interesting. They've all got different personalities, and they're not necessarily like every kid's a gamer now.
Yeah. That's just the culture we live in now,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
So they're all playing Minecraft, or they're playing stuff on their phones, they're playing Fortnite or whatever, and they approach games completely differently from the way I grew up approaching games. For one thing, the entertainment for kids is watching other people play games, which that just wasn't even an option. I probably would have loved that when I was a kid.
It's not a thing for us.
It just wasn't an option. Yeah. And so when I sit and I play a video game, I play it very quietly.
Yeah.
And I watch my son sit and play a video game, and he is doing running commentary for this invisible audience. Yeah. He's not on YouTube, but he's playing it like he's on YouTube.
He's playing it like he's playing for other people. Yeah, I've seen him. I've watched him do it. I'm like, he's just like, oh, what's going on over there? Oh, he's just playing whatever. Yeah. He's just over there playing Super Smash Brothers. Okay, cool.
He's already very hyper little kid, and he's bouncing around all over the place. But his favorite thing to do is use his Switch controllers like they are the actual sword that he's wielding in Smash Brothers, and jump around while he's doing his jumps. And, so he's just very.
He's active.
A nut. He is a little bit, but he's mine. So we had the character sheets set out, and I picked 2 minis. We had some boys and we had some girls show up, and I wanted them to be able to pick who they wanted. So I put a boy mini and a girl mini for each class and race on each character sheet, and they got to pick them. And then we did a painting session. I got out some paints and got some brushes, and they got to paint their mini. And then we moved to the other table where I had the DM screen, and we did the first cavern goblin fight from Lost Mines of Phandelver, which is the starter set. So I didn't want to put them through. I mean, so I've done a lot of character creation in my time, and not just for Dungeons & Dragons. I've done a ton of character creation, and that is a session in itself.
It is.
If you get everybody around.
Usually when I run a game, I do a whole session where everyone gets together just to make characters.
Yeah, episode 0.
Yeah, exactly. The precursor. And I've written pages and pages for one character I barely ever played, stuff like that.
So I was like, let's just give them pre-gen. Don't worry about numbers. And so
just
I was
here's
you're going to be rolling the D20 most of the time. Anytime you want to do anything, these other dice are to find damage and stuff like that. And so we sat down. They all picked the minis that they liked. They really liked painting them. and then we started doing the story. And the story starts off with everyone's like in a tavern, of course, because
it's D&D.
Yeah, classic. And Gundren Rockseeker, the dwarven business magnate, has discovered the lost mine, the ancient lost mine that was run over by goblins 500 years before. And his ancestral birthright is to this mine, and so he's sitting. So I'm doing this. I'm doing the voice.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, especially. I mean, you got a room full of 10-year-olds. They're going to eat it up,
right? And the weirdest thing was, they all thought I was trying to trick them.
Of course, they don't trust you.
They did not trust me. They didn't trust me one bit.
You see, you're treading on how everyone treats me in every game ever, because nobody ever. I don't know why I have this like persona that nobody trusts anything I ever say, and I don't know why. And part of it because of Dudley. Dudley's always built seeds of distrust. Don't trust Dan. It's the rule of every game, and it's fair. I have been known to be mischievous, but that's not always the case.
So we've played tabletop role-playing games with our son Cater since he was 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But we've always done
I've played stuff with him.
Always done a very free form.
Oh, yeah.
We have dice. We don't have a rule book.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of, roll the dice for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, that's a high number. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Very loose.
And so sometimes he'll be the player, and sometimes he'll have the story. And it's really more about just like telling this little story together.
Exactly.
It's much more like improvisational.
Exactly.
So that's Cater's experience with it.
Yeah.
There, Sylvia, which was a friend of his, her dad plays, and they've been playing together, especially with quarantine and everything happening. So she showed up having played.
Yeah, like with the full-on rules and everything.
Right, and so she came in and she...
You're basically coming at this with the general dynamic of like play groups. So like some people are very much focused on the stories rather than mechanics, and then some groups are very they get really into the mechanics. And sometimes it's good finding a balance between those. But I've played with 2 different types of groups before, where it's like, we're not really caring at all about the rules and mechanics. We're just telling a good story. And then I've also played with groups where it's very tactical and very like, these are the mechanics and we figure it out. So it's kind of
the other 3 kids had never played.
Yeah, they didn't know anything.
They had no idea what it was. And I had to, I wanted to head some stuff off at the pass. So I sat them down and was like, okay, this game works if we all play together.
Exactly.
Right?
You can't run off and be because sometimes, especially for new players.
I know you're the rogue, and I know you're very tricky.
Yes.
But if you pick everyone's pocket at the table, they're just going to get mad at you.
And you're never going to get anything done.
Save it for the bad guy.
Yes, exactly. Well, it's funny that they immediately didn't trust the DM.
They didn't. It's not that they didn't trust the DM. They didn't trust the character. Who I played him very like kind of the way I think of like, I don't know, sort of adventurous capitalist. Like,
okay. Yeah.
Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Yeah, let's
get to down in that mine.
and they found that suspicious for some reason.
And but he was very you were
trying to be friendly,
and
they didn't read it that way.
And then as soon as he's like, all right, I'll meet you all here tomorrow morning at dawn, and we'll head off.
And they were like,
he's up to something. Walks out, and they're like, okay. The rogue's like, all right, I'm gonna hide, and I'm gonna I'm gonna follow him. I want to see where he goes. And the ranger's like that. He's like, I'm gonna go,
we're gonna find out what this guy's really up to.
They've
been watching too much Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. And so then the next day of the setup for Fandelver is that character and his personal bodyguard decide to leave early, and they get ambushed on the road, and the other characters come up behind them in a wagon full of supplies, and they come up on the horses that are dead, full of arrows.
Okay.
And we almost didn't get there.
Yeah, it's funny how D&D does it sometimes. It's like, anyway. I have this planned. Yeah. We barely got to that because and I've always run into the problem as a DM. It's like I plan extra just in case, because sometimes you burn through stuff and like, I need more.
I've written pages and pages
and then
and pages
you never
and
get to
it.
Stuff most of the time you're like, I'm lucky to get
right?
Exactly.
It was at a fork in the road, and they could go left or they could go right.
Exactly.
And I had to have something in case they chose right.
Until they do something off the rails.
And so I wrote pages and pages and pages, and then they turned left, which I expected.
Yeah, exactly.
But if they had turned right, Yeah.
I always call it the woes of the DM. It's like and with my normal group, you've played with my normal group. We all make a lot of jokes. We're very silly. We've been playing together for decades, and so we kind of have a repertoire of being silly and having fun, and And I'm sometimes like I get in the mode of like I'm going to be a serious DM and we're going to have this serious story, and I've written tons of dialogue and flavor text, and I'm just trying to read it to them, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't get through this because they're going to keep making jokes, and so we're going to move on. And I'm like, okay, fine. I should know better not to try to do that with this group because they're going to be cracking jokes.
But Sylvia,
uh-huh.
I was not prepared for the little girl power gamer dynamic.
Oh yeah.
The term munchkin.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Totally applies in this situation.
You want to talk about a munchkin? You want to talk about someone min-maxing?
Uh-huh.
Talk to my older brother.
Yeah.
Rob. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. No, I played
my
with
God.
Rob.
Yeah.
But,
That's exactly it. But you don't expect that from her.
I wasn't expecting it from her. And and also she knows the rules better than I do.
Yeah, because she's played 5th edition probably a lot more than you have.
She called me on a couple of things, and she's like, no, that number's already added in. And I'm like... You're right. It is already added in. Okay.
Look
going
here,
on.
Shit.
From now on, we'll roll the number. We don't have to add the other number to it. And she's like, yeah, that's how it is. So there were a couple times where she was like, I don't think that's how it is. Uh-huh. And I'm like, well, let's check. And sure enough,
oh no!
She caught me. But it wasn't bad. They had fun, and we did not. Unfortunately, we did not get. And we played it. So we got through the first little encounter at the road, and then they're supposed to track the goblin that gets away through the woods and find the goblin cave hideout.
Yeah.
And so we finished the road encounter, and then we had a little break so they could run around and shoot Nerf guns at each other outside. And then we came back in, and we played a little bit further to the goblin cave, and we got to the point where there's a trap that the goblins, if they see you in the main passageway, can knock some support beams out of a dam and flood the whole thing.
Yeah.
So they went around a couple of these side passages, but decided not to go further, and then came back to the center and walked up and got pushed out of the cave by water. And at that point, they were all ready to run around and have cake and shoot Nerf guns again. So we let them do that, and then they were just having so much fun.
Yeah,
that we
didn't get back to it. Yeah,
but it was a lot of fun, and again, my D&D experience is 1st edition.
Yeah.
With a very, very, very small amount of 5th edition where I was playing as a player in a pickup game.
Yeah.
And I didn't know the rules, and I spent the entire time with the person next to me telling me, this is what you need to roll. But now that... And so I've got the big books, right? But they're so big, and they're so long, and it's a lot to read.
Yeah.
And getting the starter kit... and being able to read the small manual and understand everything, really changed my opinion of the D&D system.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
it's nice to,
totally
exactly. I ran into from when the 5th edition first came out, I had, a PDF copy that I was kind of looking, and I just could not, I struggled trying to read the rules on a screen, and there's that much stuff, and trying to get through it, and I was like, I kind of learned, and I was like, I need a physical copy, and I finally broke down and bought the book, some of the basic sets, and just so I could flip through, and especially when I started running some games here and there, I was just like, I just need to be able to flip pages and stick my thumb in the book and be like, okay, flip over here, write page numbers down, stuff like that. And it's just
we should get a game going.
I've talked about it many times, and we've talked about doing with a local group like you and Brandy and I know Jess is Dudley's now wife has expressed interest in playing, and so. We'll
have to talk about that further off
we
mic.
Definitely. Yeah. I've considered it. It's just running a game takes time, and it's finding time for things with people who have kids and babies and stuff. Sometimes it's harder and hard to do. But we're running close on time. Will you have anything else you just want to talk about?
That I want to talk about.
Most everything else I can drop, but.
So I backed a game on Kickstarter.
Oh, okay.
And no one wants to hear that on a podcast. But
we talk about it all the time. It's going to be a year before you see it.
It's going to be 2021.
It's going to be 2022 probably.
Yeah. Well, their projected date is summer 21, but we'll see.
That's what they say.
They're
always optimistic.
It's called Roll Camera.
I've I saw that.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it. I saw the box, and I was like, I'm interested, but I haven't got around to reading it.
It looks really fun.
Tell me about it.
And this is the kind of thing. So this game has Ricky Kennedy.
Oh yeah,
written all over it.
And us, it's just film.
Yeah,
film
exactly. The guy, so he's making it. He's had one previous successful Kickstarter as a game maker.
Okay,
this is his second game, but he was a indie film maker before this.
Yeah.
So he's kind of pivoting into this. It's a cooperative game where everyone at the table is on the crew trying to make this movie.
Yeah.
You've got a bunch of dice that you roll, and the dice are like different icons. So it's like a camera icon and like an action icon, and there's different things. And then you have a grid that is your set, and it has different zones that you place the dice onto, and you have a deck that you start with. You have a top and bottom of a script. And you shuffle. The top script gives you the first half of the title, and the bottom script gives you the second half of the title.
Okay.
And
figure out what movie you're making.
They're different moods and different genres.
Okay.
And they have different requirements to get points. So if you pull up the top one has like a romantic theme to it, then you're going to need like the sentimental scenes to work. But then the bottom was a mystery, so you're going to need like the murder scenes to work, and you put them together, and that's basically what you're trying to make.
Okay.
Everyone at the table has a different role. There's like production designer and cinematographer and editor, and you've got a quality marker on the side, and the goal of the game is to get the quality marker out of the red zone and up to.
Something worth watching.
Right, worth watching, and then a couple more notches is cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah.
Right, but if you can get it to worth watching, you've won the game.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to get out. So why not make it so bad it's good?
Yeah. You can wrap around. Okay.
You can still win.
You make the room. That's brilliant.
But every turn you flip over a problem card, and the problem is something has to be dealt with, and if you can't deal with it that turn, it moves to the next problem slot, and it gets a little worse. And you draw another problem.
Yeah, because
so you're just constantly drawing problems, trying to get
you're putting
rid of the
fires.
problems, as well as there's a story cubes. You familiar with story cubes? Okay. Or like the storytelling decks.
Okay.
Where you like flip over cards and then you have to make a story out of them.
Okay.
There's that element in it too. There's a deck full of scenes that you flip out, and then you've got them, but then you have to arrange them in the most optimum order. Okay. To get the score to match the script to get the highest quality.
Okay.
So it looks mechanically actually very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Thematically, I'm all over it.
Oh, yeah. This just sounds like something we would have a blast doing.
So I backed it, and it's Roll Camera, and the creator's name is Malachi Ray Rempen.
Okay.
Rempen.
Okay. Well, and I'm sure that Kickstarter can be running for the next month, I assume?
Yeah, it was up in August, I believe.
Okay,
so at some point in August.
Okay. So if y'all want to go check that out, you can. I saw it, and I was like, I need to check that out. But you know how it is. You see something, you get sidetracked.
Because if Facebook learns or anything learns that you are interested in board games, you get nothing but Kickstarter
ads and stuff like that.
And usually they look terrible.
Most of the time, yeah. But that one did catch my interest. I was like, oh, it's a dice game about making movies. I'm like, maybe it has some. The theme interests me. I just didn't know. You never know if it's going to be.
And so often the theme can be great. And
this mechanics.
Look at it, the mechanics are just horrible.
Yeah, exactly.
But this one mechanically seems actually fun to play. So
Okay, well, I look forward to when you get it, whenever that is.
It'll be at least a year.
At least a year. And we'll have to check it out and see how it is. I'm excited to try that out. Well, cool. Well, I think that's all the time we got. Too bad we didn't get to the news. It's just too bad. We'll just have to
we had so much good news,
We had so much. Honestly, I did write down some news to talk about, but we're not going to get to it.
Well, now Dudley can talk for twice as long next time.
Oh, yeah. We can spend some time talking about the news next week. So in the meantime, go to our website at duddan.com. That's DUDNDAN.com. I almost said the
Trey.
No, not /Trey. Don't do that. That won't get you anywhere. That'll get you a 404 error. They'll be like, we're sorry, we don't know what you're talking about. Maybe I should go put a /Trey page out there. It'll just be a picture of you with your CV and just a lot of headshots and some tasteful nudes.
Yeah. If you go to Purple Mattress and put Trey in the coupon code, you'll get 10% off.
You'll get 10% off. You'll get 3% off.
Yeah, 3%.
And like, comment, subscribe. You won't find Trey on our page, but maybe we'll fix that. I don't know.
No, you don't. Please don't put me on the internet.
I managed to stay off it this long. That's not true. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Dan May.
I'm Trey Cartwright.
And this has been Dud and Dan.
And Trey.
And Trey.